just really don't buy Guitar Tools R Us. There's no place to do that type of thing. So we've built our own engineering department. I've been making my own tools since my very first guitar. You know, here's some pretty cool examples of some neat tools that we've built in the factory. So these side benders, you'll watch how fast this whole process happens. And it's just a matter of we break it down into two bends. You start with those laser cut sides. They're very accurate. They have a couple little keyways in them that we come and flick them together with a wooden key that we laser out. And that wooden key allows us to picture them on the side benders so we know where the bend is, because these sides are actually cut to their final length before we ever bend them. So we have to bend them in exactly the right place. We can't bend it over it on the part or back on the part. Right? We wrap it in paper, which allows, well, the paper does a couple things. It kind of absorbs all of the oils that would come out of things like rosewood and nasty up our benders. If you bend this straight on the bender, then you're going to have to come back with some oven cleaner or something, clean it off before you can bend the maple sides. But with the paper, that basically absorbs all that crud.
That's literally just the dry wood and oil.
That's the oil in rosewood coming out, just boiling right out of the wood.
From the heat.
From the heat. And the heat is 325 degrees. It's bake-a-cake temperature.
How long did it take you to figure out how slowly you could bend this without snapping the wood?
By the time we made these, we've been bending sides by hand and stuff for 20 years, you know, 25 years. We knew how fast to bend. But you can see we have fast, medium, and slow buttons, which is kind of more scared, terrified. You know, that's really. But in reality, these benders, the way they work, that sheet metal is stretching really tight and it's moving around, and they don't break. We don't break tight. We have really close to 100% bending success. If you want to feel that, you can sort of feel what it takes to bend the side.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
you don't wet it.
There's enough moisture content in most of these to do the bending. The wetting is a heat transfer, not really a elixir for the wood. Steam is a wonderful way to move heat through a piece of wood. So what you're really trying to do is get the wood up to temperature. And by having a very nice speed and feed like we have here, this right at the bending point, this is getting hot, the wood becomes elastic, and it's just kind of surfing that elastic line. When you're bending wood guitars by hand over a luthier's pipe, you're never really on that spot. You're trying to keep the whole thing up and get to this point where you feel it let go, and then you push too hard and you break it. It's just bad, you know. Certain pieces of wood can benefit. The hardest woods to bend are in this factory is sapele. It's the cheapest wood we buy, and it doesn't like to bend, so we give it a little bit extra water to pump some heat through a little bit faster. It's not true that water doesn't help bend. If you're doing bent wood chairs and that kind of stuff, they steam those things. They come out wet and pliable and hot. But for our purposes, mostly hot does the trick. So we do sapele, we'll bend like that. And you see he's not even using paper on the sapele. Mahogany likes to spring back, you know. So sometimes you need a little extra heat or something like that. Mahogany is a little tricky.
One bend and then...
Yeah, we do two bends. First away, because we want to wrap. We want to do, I call it an outside bend. We don't want to do any inside. We don't want to push something into a hole like we'd be pushing it into the waist. We want to wrap it around the form. Then we pick the whole thing up, put it upside down on here. That one's already bent. It clicks into place. The keyway index on the machine, which is precision.